One of the questions we've been having is which velocity to use for kinetic energy on the kinetic energy graph. Logger Pro will give you values for Vx and Vy, and a lot of your graphs are going to have motion along a curve where it's not just Vx and not just Vy by themselves, but a combination. The V in kinetic energy equation is actually the speed. Kinetic energy is a scalar, so we do not need direction. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to go back to Pythagorean's theorem. The Vx is the horizontal velocity, the Vy is the vertical velocity. What we actually need is the hypotenuse. We need the V, and we don't care about the direction. We just need the magnitude of this, so this is actually our speed. So to do that, we just do a squared plus b squared equals c squared. Substitute our values in for velocity. And the speed that we're looking for is the square root of Vx squared plus Vy squared. And I have a Logger Pro graph here. It's not a piece of playground equipment like you're doing, but the data has velocity in the x direction data and velocity in the y direction data. So to get the speed, you come up here to data, you will select new calculated column. We're going to title this column speed. The short name will be V, and the units will be meters per second. The equation that we're going to need is the square root. So you come down here to the functions, and this is the square root, SQRT. It already gives me a parentheses. And I want to take my x velocity, and I'm going to use the caret with the number 2 to square it, and then the plus sign, and I also need my y velocity. That needs to be squared, so that's going to be caret 2. So I have the square root of everything inside this parentheses, which is the x velocity squared plus the y velocity squared. And when I hit done, I should get a new calculated column. And this is the speed that you will use in your kinetic energy equation. When you do your velocity versus time graphs, you will need a Vx versus time graph, and you will need a velocity a Vy versus time graph. But for your kinetic energy, you will want to use the speed column.